Audio issues there, I guess. Audio issues there, I guess. Okay. Um, Guys, I'm also reading your comments. Please let me know if you can hear me or not. And we'll try to make this session as fun as and interactive as we can. So I'll try to answer as many questions as you have. Let me know in the comments below if you can hear me. What we would be doing in this session, we'll be focusing upon what do you need to prepare for campus placements. So your campus placements for most colleges are starting from 1st of July. And even though your colleges are going to be opening late, maybe in September or August, there are going to be off-campus hirings that are going to happen next month. So we'll talk about which all companies are going to hire off-campus early, even before on-campus starts. And we'll also talk about what do you need to prepare for service-based companies, for product-based companies, what are the hiring pattern for most of these companies, and we'll try to classify all of those, right? So this ideally would also be useful for 2024 batch, 2025 batch, and 2026 as well, because your preparation journey more or less remains the same, right? So let's go ahead. Before starting very quickly, again, make sure that you follow us on all the different social media handles. The reason being, we post hiring updates. So, for example, right now, Amazon is hiring, Google is hiring, and we've posted this on our Instagram. So, if you are looking for hiring updates and you're from Tier 2 or Tier 3 colleges, so all of these companies, so for example, Amazon hires 50% of every year from on-campus colleges in IITs, NITs, VITs, and other Tier 1 colleges, Manipal, SRM, etc. But the rest 50% they every year hire from their off-campus hiring drive. So, for example, Amazon Hack-On, Amazon ML Summer School, Amazon Wow, right? So all of these things. So we'll post all of these things. Same thing. Flipkart Grid is also going to happen next week, and Cisco Ideathon and PayPal. A lot of these companies are going to hire. So make sure that you follow us on all the different social media handles. So we'll talk more about Prep and Stuff Prime a little later, but it's more or less one single subscription for all your placements need. C++, Java, DSA, Amazon, TCS, NQT, ethical hacking, full stack web development, data science, and these are all the screenshots of all the different courses. DSA, competitive coding, so you don't need to buy multiple courses over and over again and use the coupon code YouTube, but we'll talk about it a little later. Right. So let's just start the session. So first thing that I'm going to talk about is, because you may be a 2025 batch student and you would not know how the hiring happens, right? In service base and in product base, right? How long would an interview be? So first part is going to be that. The second part is going to be, what do you need to prepare? What subjects? So for example, as a CSE students, you only need to study 4 or 5 subjects. That's it. Not all the 50, 60 subjects. Or as a ECE, triple E, or mechanical student who's hoping to get a job in CSIT domain, you only need to prepare for some specific subjects, right? So we'll talk more about that in the second part of this. So first thing is, this is for service-based companies, right? So you register for any hiring drive that comes in your campus or even on campus. However, there could be a resume shortlisting even for service-based companies. So for example, Deloitte, KPMG, PwC, Mu Sigma. So doesn't matter if you're applying on campus or off campus, they'll ask all the resumes from your placement head or TPO, and they'll only select the top 20% of the students for what? For the online test itself. So you can't even appear for online test of some companies like Deloitte, KPMG. But this is not the case with Wipro, Cognizant, TCS, Infosys, LTI, Mindtree, and let's say Tech Mahindra, all the others. In that case, everybody who registers, and you should have more than 60% and 6 CGPA, you'll directly have the online test in this case, right? So the online test for service-based companies would be approximately for 1.5 hours or 2 hours of duration. It will have aptitude sections. What is aptitude? Quants, logical, verbal, data interpretation, visual reasoning. It will also have coding round. It will also have programming MCQ, mostly based upon C++ or DBMS and SQL. So you'll have online tests. The top 20% of, and in some companies also, So, for example, TCS Digital or Wipro Star or Cognizant Gen Z. So, these companies are, for example, TCS offers 4 different profiles. One is Ninja 3.36 LPA, one is Digital 6.5 LPA, one is Prime 9.5 LPA, and one is TCS Innovator, which is 11 LPA. So for higher packages, for these people, they may have additional coding round. So there's one coding round here, which will be like 45 minutes, 2 questions or 3 questions, medium difficulty. But one coding round here for these higher packages extra. And in that case, you'll have DSA and competitive programming sort of questions, right? But okay, so let's move ahead. And then there's an additional coding round. The top 20% of the people in the online test and even in the advanced coding test, the top 20% of the people will get shortlisted. So let's say there are 100 people applying. Any company that will visit your campus, standard rule, only the top 20% of the people will have chance to go to the interview. So there's no point of preparing DSA, projects, certifications, and so on if you don't have aptitude. So first thing is that you should study aptitude, but we'll talk about this later. Your technical interview would be 30 to 45 minutes of duration. Then would be your HR interview. And out of these, the top 30% of the people will get selected. Generally, this is the ratio. So let's say out of 100 people applied, 20% got into the interview, and out of those 20 people got into the interview, and out of those 20 people in the interview, top 30%, that is 6 people, finally got selected. So typically this is the ratio, for example. And then finally offer rollout. But if you're caught malpracticing or cheating in the interview or in the online test, then your offer letter would be rejected, right? So let's move ahead to the next part. So this is basically for product-based companies. So registration remains the same. Resume shortlisting will definitely happen for all the product-based companies. Infosys, Amazon, PayPal, Cisco, Flipkart, all these companies, right? And then there would be an online test. Still, there would be an aptitude round. There would be a coding round. There would be a programming MCQ round based upon C, C++. Even if you're a Python developer or a Java developer, your programming MCQs are standard. They are more or less asked from pseudocode based upon C and C++. So, just wanted to let you know. And there could be an additional advanced coding test also, one. Then the top 10% would get selected. Then there's a technical interview, one. So this would be 1 hour of duration. In this technical interview, one, you'd be more or less. यार ये पहले बताना चाहिए. Just give us 1 second, guys. We are facing some technical issue. Now I guess it's fine, right? So again, my screen was stuck. I guess I got notified about it very, very, very late. And so practically, let's go ahead. So I hope that you will be able to see the screen now. So again, in all of these companies, your technical interview, one, would be for 1 hour of duration, right? So then you clear that. It would be typically taken by somebody who's worked in the industry for about 1 or 2 years. Then there would be a technical interview, two, right? Which would be approximately for 1.5 hours. It would be taken from somebody who's basically been in the industry for about 5 to 6 years. And then your technical interview then would be your managerial interview for product-based companies, right? So in this case, it would be for 45 minutes. So let's talk about what would be asked in technical interview one. So technical interview one, you would be more or less asked about C, C++, Java, Python, DBMS, SQL, and a little bit of DSA and competitive coding. So your 70% of the interview would be upon C, C++, Java, Python, and DBMS, SQL, computer networks, and operating system. The next 20% of the, or let's say 20-30% of the interview would be on DSA and competitive coding. That's all. In technical interview two, which is 1.5 hours, most companies would just ask you DSA and competitive coding. So 50% of your technical interview to DSA and competitive coding, and the rest 50% based upon your projects, your certifications, and then they'll also be asking you to share your project. So let's say they'll ask you to share your screen if it's a virtual interview, or if it's a physical interview, then they will ask you to open up your laptop and then open your project and show them the code, run the code. They'll ask you to remove a few lines. Very, very important, because the hiring scenario of last year was really bad. This year it would be a little better in comparison to previous years. So particularly make sure that you're having projects and certifications in very, very good skills. So for example, full stack web development, AI, cloud, ethical hacking. If you have Prep Insta Prime subscription, so in that case you're sorted, right? Because with Prep Insta Prime subscription, you can access all the 200 plus courses with one go. So data science, AWS, Selenium, AI, ethical hacking, Power BI, cybersecurity, cloud computing, NLP, and all of those. Make sure that you have certified from a reputed organization like Upgrad, Scalar, Prep Insta, Coding Blocks, and all the others, not YouTube, because all of these companies are basically, they have a parameter. I'll show you a little later. For example, the TCS online test, the marks that they give you for each and every section, in that section, they have a mandatory 10 marks for a skill certification. So if you're not having a certification, and your Neptel and Coursera certificates are not valued at all, right? Because they know, it's been forced by college and there are not enough projects there. Then finally, there's an HR interview, 20 minutes, right? Sorry, in managerial interview, again, the whole of the managerial interview, 45 minutes on projects. So they'll ask you to remove a few lines in the code, run the project. So different 2-3 different projects that you've done, theoretical questions based upon it. So if it's a full stack project, so they'll talk about different technologies like Node, React, Angular, whatever you've done, right? So make sure that when you're finally getting interviewed, you can speak 1 hour just about your project. You can only do it when you can demo it and show the code, and you know how to write the code again, and you're certified. Then there's HR interview. In that, basic HR questions. Apart from that, guess estimates and puzzles. So we'll talk more about this also. Right. Let's talk about the hiring scenario on when all of these companies would be hiring. So for example, in July and August, right, product-based companies would be hiring. No, service-based companies will not be hiring. Typical package of all of these companies would be 10 to 40 LPA. Then you will also have off-campus hackathon-based hiring for product-based companies in July and August. So for example, Cisco Ideathon, Amazon Wow, Flipkart Grid, SAP, Salesforce, Intel, all of these. Then you will have on-campus and off-campus partner hiring. So for example, let's say there are certain partner companies like Prep Insta. We are partnered with more than 500 plus companies. So these 500 plus companies hire through us and many others also. For example, Prep Insta, Scalar, Upgrad. So the people who've taken up their courses. So I'll very quickly show it to you also. So for example, here's our placement report. My bad, just give me 1 second. So here's our placement report. So whatever people get hired by different companies, we put it here. So for example, the average package, 47 LPA, 1.9 LPA, and 95.6% placement rate, 43% more than 3 offers, and 90,000 till today students with more than 10 LPA, right? So this is basically all the people who take Prep Insta Prime subscription once they complete our mandatory. So any of these tracks, we refer them to our partner companies, 500 plus partner companies. So people who are from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Last year, we placed about 1 lakh people in different companies, right? So not just with Prep Insta, other companies also. For example, Scalar or Upgrad and a few other reputed companies. So these would also be hiring. So for example, in this duration, the hiring would be for all of these companies. Then in September and October, your service-based companies would be hiring. So for example, any company based upon 3 to 10 LPA. No off-campus would happen in this duration. So for example, these that were happening will not be happening in this duration. These that were happening will not be happening in this duration. Every placement season is like that, right? TCS, Wipro, Cognizant, Accenture, Deloitte, New Sigma, KPMG, PwC, all of these companies there. Then in November and December, so here product-based companies in these 2 months. Here, more or less high-paying service-based companies and low-paying service-based companies, both of them, right? Here in November, December, all the colleges, all the hiring on campus will be happening for sales and marketing companies. So tier 3 colleges, most of the people get placed in sales profile or marketing profile because they could not get IT companies offer letters. Generally, the package would be 2 to 5 LPA and no off campus between this duration. Then between January to June, off-campus partner hirings via Prepinsta, Scalar, Upgrad, or a lot of these companies would be hiring. So we have 500 plus hiring partners, for example, Cisco, Amazon, and all these companies would be hiring via us. Then once you complete your college, between July and August, that is these 2 months, then national off-campus drives will happen. So for example, Accenture has visited, let's say, all the partner colleges and partner companies like us and Scalar and Upgrad. Here, they will conduct national drives. So once you're graduated out of college, you will still have like 2 to 3 months to get placed in all of these companies, right? So moving ahead, this is the timeline. Now, what to prepare? We'll focus a lot upon it. Okay. So first thing first is you need to study aptitude 100% because only the top 20% of the people will go and attend the interview. So out of 100 people, let's say sitting for an online test, only the top 20% of the people based upon their performance in the online test will get the chance to interview. You'll be asked quants, logical, verbal, data interpretation, and game-based aptitude. So let me very quickly take it to you and we'll talk more about it. So how you can prepare for it is easy and simple. So for example, you can go to prepare and then aptitude, and then from here, let's say go to quants, logical, verbal, and then from here you can check questions, formulas, how to solve quickly. So you can prepare your quantitative aptitude section from here. And so that's one way. So for example, if I go to questions or formulas and how to solve quickly, shortcuts, tips and tricks, so you'll get a lot of these things here. And let's say just give me 1 second. For formulas and everything, you'll find everything here. So this is one way on how you can prepare and how to solve quickly, tips and tricks, or a lot of these. Or if you have Prepinsta Prime subscription, so in that case, what I would recommend to you is go ahead and take the aptitudes. Go ahead and take the aptitude courses. For example, quants, logical, verbal, data interpretation, visual reasoning, cryptographic, essay writing, game-based aptitude. So these, for example, cryptographic will not be asked in all the companies. It will be asked in some companies like Infosys, eLitmus, and IBM. So some companies ask some specific type of aptitude. So for example, cryptographic is one of those. Game-based aptitude is something that Infosys asks and Capgemini asks via PoCubes, and IBM asks and Capgemini asks. Essay writing is something that Cognizant asks and Wipro asks. So whenever you're basically preparing for any particular company, make sure that, let's say, you go to Google and then you go to, let's say, Infosys syllabus, and then you go to Prepinsta's website, and here you would find how, okay, for Infosys online test, logical, mathematical, verbal, pseudocode, puzzle solving, what are the different sections that are going to be there in the online test and the interviews as well. So whenever any particular company's online test is being conducted, so let's say you Google TCS placement papers, right? So obviously Prepinsta's website will come on top. So in that case, you'll land up here. So what you do is you'll understand the pattern or a lot of it and all the previous year questions based upon topics. So for example, quants, verbal, CMCQ. So for example, a lot of these companies, 60 to 70% of the previous year questions are repeated from of the online test are repeated from the previous years. For example, quants, you go to probability. So you land up here. You go to this particular quiz and you can solve a lot of these questions. For example, you solve this. So you'll get to know that, okay, how you chose the right answer, so did 50% of the other people. You can click login here and you'll get to know that, okay, you solved it at, let's say, 25 seconds. But how many people solved it before you? How many people solved it after you? So preparing from here is much better than the books, because I've seen a lot of people, they are able to solve the question correctly, but in the online test, there's a time limit. So for each and every question, max to max 45 seconds to 1 minute is what you need to give. So to get to that particular level, you need to make sure that you're solving every question in time and you can benchmark your performance in comparison to others. So you get the previous year questions from here, and let's say if you're preparing for TCS, obviously the TCS online course is going to be there, which will make you prepare for all the TCS things that are asked both in the online test and the interviews as well. So we've talked about this. Just give me 1 second. We've talked about the aptitude section. We've talked about the previous year papers. We will talk about resume shortlisting, but after 2 slides, and solve a lot of mock tests, because mock tests will make you practice. And when you're giving exam, you're already in fear and you're nervous. So mock tests will help you that. Now, for not just the online test, a lot of your online tests would have coding questions based upon basic coding, intermediate coding, DSA, and competitive coding, and also your MCQs would be based upon C, C++, Java, Python, DSA, and SQL, OS, DBMS. But also in the interview, all of these things you will still be asked. So here, basically MCQs and coding questions in a compiler in an online test. So for example, AMCAT would be, or SHL would be one of the hiring platform. CoCubes would be one of the hiring platforms. HackerRank would be one of the hiring platforms. Then you will have something called as Metal. So what, let's say a lot of these companies do is they outsource their online test to these companies, and you will be using these platforms, right? So these are the topics that you need to prepare: C, C++, Java, or Python, any one of those. Ideally C or C 100%, and I will suggest any one out of these three. That is 100% do C, C++, Java, Python, pick any one of those. Then go to Prep Insta top 100 codes. Very, very important. What is Prep Insta top 100 codes is basically the most asked interview questions and the online test questions. So will be asked from here. It's basically guaranteed. So whatever you learned in your first year, so for example, positive, negative numbers. So basically it'll teach you coding from scratch. So the difficulty level of the of the question increases. So here you start from very basic, like positive, negative numbers. When you scroll down, so for example, decimal to binary conversion, replace all the zeros, then recursion, then arrays. So Prep Insta Top 100 Code is the best resource out there if you're preparing for service-based companies and online tests for a lot of these companies. What you can also do is, let's say TCS coding, previous year coding questions. You can Google, and then you will find all the previous year coding questions of TCS here, right? So make sure that you practice a lot of these coding questions as well. But if you are preparing for coding and if you have Prep Insta Prime subscription or are hoping to take it, so in that case, I will suggest to you basic coding is you do first. It's basically very easy programs for mechanical EC who are non-CSID students should do this course. Intermediate coding course will prepare you for service-based companies, then competitive coding course again for product-based, and DSA and a lot of these. So for these, you make sure that you check this, right? Now, basic and intermediate coding is this. DSA you will be asked, but DSA not that advanced. So for example, topics like graphs, generally these service-based companies will not ask, right? So we have a course for DSA, which is called as DSA for service-based companies here. So, not the whole of the DSA, but some important topics of DSA. And even if you're a mechanical student, EC, EEE student, and you're hoping to get placed in TCS, Infosys, Wipro, and a lot of these companies, you still have to do C, C++, Java, Python, and DSA, basic coding, and a lot of these. Then, certifications is must. Project is must. If you are hoping to get placed in TCS, Infosys, Wipro, Deloitte, Capgemini, PwC, Mu Sigma, even Amazon, Google, any particular company, all of them will ask you for certification from a reputed organization, will want to see your projects, will want to see the code in the interview. So they'll ask you to share your screen, or if it's a physical interview, they'll ask you to open up your laptop and show them the code and run it. So probably if in your college curriculum, if you've not done projects till now, make sure that you don't wait for your final year projects and take up an online course. And if you take Prep Insta Prime subscription, so in that case, you can do full stack courses here. So that's perfectly fine. Or you can do Git, GitHub, Tableau, Big Data, or NLP, Deep Learning, Cloud Computing, Cybersecurity, Power BI, QA, AWS Cloud, AI, a lot of these courses, right? Then DBMS, SQL, very important. 2 or 3 questions will be asked in each and every interview. It will hardly take 5 minutes, but they will ask you. Then OS, computer networks, and SDLC, that is software engineering, would be asked. Then in your HR interview, these are the things that you need to prepare. For example, if generally companies are not taking a group discussion round, but if in case they take it, then group discussion, then guess estimates and puzzles and basic HR interview questions. Very, very important. A lot of people do this, sir. I attended the HR interview, but they still rejected me. Why? Because they ask you puzzles, they ask you guess estimates. So make sure that you're googling puzzles, top 100 puzzles asked in the interviews and so on. If not, then if you have Prepinsta Prime subscription, so in that case, you can take up a lot of these courses. So, right? So it'll help you. Right, the quality and all of Prepinsta Prime you can see from here, or you can check the demo videos from here. Right now, moving ahead, any skill certification with demoable projects. These are the skill certifications that I am doing. Very important thing. If you are doing if you're learning a skill from YouTube, it's fine, learn it. But make sure that you're just getting one certification from reputed organization. I'm not saying do Prepinsta. You can even do Scalar or Upgrad or Great Learning or coding blocks or any other, right? But at least have one certification from a reputed organization. Because why? Let me very quickly show it to you. So I have this image here. So if you look at this image, and let me zoom it for you, this is TCS's online interview scorecard. So when somebody from TCS is interviewing you, they will fill this form. So then they'll be recommending you for Ninja, Digital, or none of the above profile. And then you can take a screenshot of this if you want. Then they are rating you. So for example, subject knowledge, problem solving, additional competency. You can see here they're asking DSA, coding questions, project work, knowledge of database, SDLC, system design, and so on. System design they don't ask, but it's just written, right? But if you look here in this section, the previous section were 5 marks, 5 marks, 5 marks. But in the next section, 20 marks for digital skills, 10 marks for certifications. So they are saying that, okay, you should be certified, because if you are not certified, then TCS has to get you certified and then waste like 3-4 months. And then they can only deploy you to projects, right? So it will make their time also easy. So generally people who are not certified, they have to train them for 4 to 5 months. And if a person is already certified in full stack, AI, ML, generative AI, and so on, then they just only train for 1.5 months, basic stuff. Okay. So, and you can take a screenshot of this if you want. Make sure that you're certified. Very, very important. Very important. Okay. So, for product-based companies, these are some extra things that you need to do. So, for service-based companies, mostly your interview would be, so let's say if the package is between 3 to 6 LPA, your interview would be 35 to 45 minutes at max, right? But if the package is between 6 to let's say 10 LPA, your interview would be generally for 1 hour, right? And one single interview, the technical one, after that like a 20-minute HR interview. But for product-based companies, each of the interview would be between 1 to 1.5 hours. And for product-based companies, generally there are 3 interviews, 3 technical interviews plus 1 HR interview. So very important. Your duration of the interview would be longer. You'll be asked more difficult questions. Your advanced DSA would be asked. Competitive coding would be asked. Optimization, so they'll ask you, okay, do this problem, do it with trees, and then they'll ask you 4 different ways to optimize it. Then advanced projects is what you should be having. So, because placement scenario last year was really bad, and this year also it's going to be a little better than last year, but not very good. So in that case, they want to hire somebody who has the highest skill, highest amount of projects and certifications. So you need to be basically having very, 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 very good projects. So for example, one of the projects that we did in our AI/ML course was basically mask recognition project or Mario game project. So if you look here, if you do not have projects, then probably you can look at this particular section here and you can do a lot of these projects. These are not just the only project. There are like 200 to 300 different projects that are there on Prepinsta Prime would help you. So for example, Zomato review analysis, Pokédex, Netflix movie recommendation maker, ping pong, and so on, right? Then more difficult questions, advanced projects. Okay. And if you take a Prepinsta Prime subscription, because you have a lot of these things that you need to study, please take a screenshot of it. So rather than buying individual courses, you can take Prep and Star Prime subscription and you get access to all of these courses, full stack languages, tracks, so 200 plus courses under one subscription. And very quickly, let me just show it to you. So use the coupon code YouTube to get, it's written wrong here. I guess it's 20% off, not 10% off. And these are the screenshots of a lot of these courses. Right now, moving back, your resume should not look like this. If your resume is looking like this, you are most likely going to get rejected. Your resume needs to look like this. Boring resume are much effective. So for example, if you look at here, this person has done a project, but also has given GitHub links, YouTube link, and also the demoable Netlify link of the project. So when somebody is shortlisting you based up, a lot of people say, sir, I applied to Amazon internship, or I applied to Google hiring, but I never got an online test link also. The reason why you didn't get an online test, because your project did not have what? Your resume did not have what? Projects, links to GitHub to those projects, links to a YouTube video, because somebody would not understand your GitHub code, right? They want to see you explaining your project, right? That, and then let's say wherever your project is hosted on, let's say Netlify or Vercel or somewhere else. So make sure that you have that and your lead code in a lot of these rankings, right? So make sure that you Google and make this boring type of resume. Then I just wanted to quickly give you this as well. So if let's say Google, Microsoft, Amazon, these companies do not visit your campus and you're like, okay, only service-based companies visit my campus, then not all hopes are lost. Why? Because all of these companies have higher packages as well again. So for example, TCS has Ninja 3.6, Digital 6.5, Prime 9.5, Innovator 11 LPA. Then Infosys has 3.6 LPA, 5 LPA, 9.5 LPA. Wipro has 3.5, 7 LPA, 11 LPA. Cognizant has 4 LPA, 4.25, 5.4, 6.25. So these companies are also giving higher packages. So for example, TCS typically would hire 40,000 people. Out of those 40,000 people, 35,000 would be for Ninja, 4,000 approximately would be for Digital. For Prime Profile, approximately 1,000 would be for Prime, and Innovator about 250, 300 people would be for Innovator Profile, my bad, right? So, a lot of these companies are giving higher packages also, but again, you need to have what? Very high, good knowledge of DSA, like advanced DSA questions would be asked, longer interviews, competitive coding, and projects that they can see the code, you can run it. If let's say if he removes the lines of the code from the project, you can rewrite those lines. You can look at the internet, but you can rewrite those lines. And also certifications, very, 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 very important, right? A few of these companies will also allow you. So there's, for example, in Cognizant and even TCS, in Cognizant, there's a program called as Cognizant Orbit Shifter program, wherein even though, let's say, based upon your online test and your interview, you don't get selected for the highest package, right? You get selected in Cognizant at the lowest 4 LPA package. So let's say, even after 1 year working for Cognizant, you'll have to give the online, they'll ask you that, do you want to give an online test again? So you'll be like, okay, I want to give it. So again, you'll be asked the same online test, same everything, right? Again, your interview would happen based upon project certifications, DSA, competitive coding, and everything. But you will have an opportunity to switch between these different roles, right? Later on. But so basically, I'll quickly show it to you. So this is called as Cognizant Orbit Shifter program. But whenever Cognizant is interviewing you, they are biased also. So if you have certification, let's say in Java or in IoT and Unix or .NET or something like that, so you're more likely to get a lower package. But if you have a certification from a reputed organization, and additionally you show that you're good in C, Java, Python, competitive coding, DSA, DBMS, SCN, SQL, a lot of these, then you will get, and your certification is generally in AI, ML, big data, full stack, Python, advanced .NET Python. No, not really. This is basically Selenium, right? data scientist, cybersecurity, AWS, then you're more likely to get the highest package, right? This is officially what Cognizant, I've took this screenshot from official Cognizant pre-placement talk orientation session, right? And if you have certification in these, then you're going to get a lower package. So generally, what I would suggest is if you have Prep Insta Prime subscription, so in that case, make sure that you take up these popular skills, right? And you still have time for your placement preparation. You need to do, again, if you have not taken the screenshot, these are for product based companies, additional things that you need to do, and the ones in purple blue are basically for service based companies. So take a screenshot of this if you want. Your resume should look like on the left, not how it is there on the right. Your resume should have Netlify Vercel link, a YouTube video wherein you're demoing the project. It could be a bad quality YouTube video in your dorm room or in your hostel wherein you're showing your hardware project or a software project, screen recording or something, right? But the YouTube video, the GitHub link, the Vercel or Netlify link, if it's a hardware project, then a YouTube video of, the hardware or let's say the drone or whatever you've made. Because then you'll not get shortlisted for the online test, and even for the interviews also it's mandatory, right? And you can take a screenshot of this also. I'll zoom out. This is TCS's official interview scorecard. So I'll zoom and then zoom here. Take a screenshot of this also if you want, right? So particularly this is basically it. I would recommend you to take Prep Insta Prime subscription. It's completely up to you. Use the coupon code YouTube. There's a TCS preparation course also. So if TCS is going to come, TCS is practically going to be a national hiring drive. Everybody would be eligible for it. So a lot of people prepare just specifically for TCS. So for that, we already have the TCS course, TCS NQT Prime Digital and Interview Preparation. And then we have tracks for FANG companies, data science role, service-based company, product-based companies, TCS, NQT, Microsoft, platforms like AMCAT, CoCubes, eLitmus, HackerRank, projects, computer science subjects courses like operating system. You can even check. So for example, here I'm checking the screenshots from different courses also, right? So you can also check this if you like. And interview preparation. So this is this thing. And just also you get also hired in 500 plus hiring partner. So just Google Prep Insta Prime placement report. You'll end up on this particular page, and from here you can download our placement report and get hired in a lot of these companies wherein we've posted our placement report here, right? So these are the screenshot of a lot of these. Let's do one thing. Let's take up Q&A. I'm going to be answering all of your questions. Put in your questions in the comment section and I'll answer all of those. Do NEPTEL certification are important? So, Jeevan, the reality is, if you've done NEPTEL certifications, you know that there are no projects in it. NEPTEL certification, is there a project like Netflix movie recommendation or mask recognition, face recognition, generative AI, or American Express, ping pong? So the people who are interviewing you are also engineers. They were the same place that you are now. So they really know that NEPTEL and Coursera certifications and Udemy certifications are more or less garbage. No offense, right? Imagine that you yourself are interviewing your junior. So you'll say that, okay, this guy has done Scalar certification or Upgrad certification or Prep Insta certification or Great Learning certification, the really good one. So you'll be like, okay, this is genuine and other things are, right? So even as an engineer, a lot of people write like, I have done 4 or 5 different projects, but a lot of these projects are group projects. 3 people participated in the same project for 5 marks as assignments, but only one made the project, one made the slide, one did nothing. So the person who's interviewing you also knows this. So they'll be like, okay, you've written these 4 projects, show me. So in the interview, they'll ask you to open up your laptop and show the project. So these certifications will also help you make a lot of your projects as well, right? So Prep Insta's placement, I don't want to talk a lot about the pricing and everything, but I've given you a coupon code, I guess, YouTube, that will give you the max of the discount. You can click here, and we have 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. You get access to 200 plus courses, job via Prep Insta placement cell, and 7-day money back guarantee, and a lot of these, right? So check out which coding language is better. So personally, I will say C++ is the best language for competitive coding and DSA as per me. Java is a little difficult to understand for somebody who's beginner, but Java is a really good language who's expert in Java. So I'll generally suggest C++ for DSA and competitive coding. But let's say if you're interested in AI, ML, and so on, then you can do Python also. Right? It depends. I would generally suggest that learn Python and C++, both of them. For DSA and competitive coding and top 100 codes, use C++. And for, let's say, your projects in AI, ML, generative AI, or machine learning, cloud, a lot of those, use Python, right? Generally, don't use Python in DSA. The reason being, let's say I ask you an interview question of, let's say make a queue, right? So what you'll do with Python is, let's say queue.add, queue.remove, or whatever the methods are there. But I, as an interviewer, wanted to check your logic. So I wanted you to handle, let's say, create functions for overflow condition, underflow condition, top plus plus, top is equals to -1 initial setting. So generally, the interviewer generally don't like people coding DSA in Python, generally. But I don't know. It's up to your personal choice. My personal opinion is don't do DSA in Python. Aditya, you are wrong here. These companies, my younger brother who works in KPMG right now, he works as a generative AI engineer. These companies are not looking for people. So look at this. There are generally two kind of certification that most of the people are doing, right? Generally, people are doing full stack web development certifications or something related to, let's say, data science, right? So with data science, there's a brighter future because of open AI and generative AI, neural networks, deep learning, a lot of those. In the next 20 years, this is the future. So even companies like service-based companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, Cognizant are wanting, and you read this in the news yesterday or a day before, TCS said they are short of 80,000 people in generative AI, Python, cloud, machine learning, neural networks, and a lot of these domains. So I would suggest do data science stuff or machine learning stuff or neural network stuff rather than full stack web development. It's much more easier. It has brighter future. Projects are much cooler, and companies are paying a little more for a lot of these roles. Sir, don't do this. Please answer my question. I'm not able to type again. Swati. Sir, I have done Google IT automation certification. What role should I target for IT automation? Yeah. Swati, generally, companies don't want to see hardware projects in general. So if it's a hardware project, generally I would suggest you to make a software-based project. So for example, you could do AWS Cloud or Azure or full stack web development using Mern stack or Mean stack or data science, neural networks, a lot of these. So typically either go with data or full stack or cloud computing like AWS or Azure, these roles or these certifications. Why not full stack? So full stack is amazing. I have two things. I'm not saying don't do full stack certification, but my minor problem with full stack is, first, full stack is huge. So to learn JavaScript, CSS, HTML, and then MongoDB, Express, React, Node, and then a lot of these things, it'll take you 4 to 5 months. At the very same time, if you want to do, let's say, the same data science course or machine learning course or AI course on Prep Insta, data analytics or Power BI or Tableau course on Prep Insta, it will hardly take you 20-25 days first. So shorter time duration for data sort of certifications. Second thing is EC, mechanical, civil. For those people, easier to learn is data science rather than full stack, right? Third thing is companies are paying more now for data science roles rather than full stack web development roles. They are paying both of them more or less equally, but the future is much brighter for generative AI, for neural networks, for deep learning, for AI, for data analytics, right? So that's the only thing. And regardless of anything, even if you have certification, then also you need to do DSA and competitive coding because you need to show them that you're a good coder. Somebody can do a certification, 100 certification, can do projects, but maybe a bad coder. So that, are you a good coder? Do you write good code, logical code in a good time optimization, space optimization? That we check with DSA and competitive coding. Techno area, service-based companies, Java is necessary because I am from one background, focus on Node.js, not interested in front-end work. That's fine, right? Techno area, no issues. Don't do Java. Just know JavaScript. Right. So, guys, that's pretty much it. Make sure that you join our social media handle, so Prep Insta Prime, because here you will get hiring updates from Infosys, Amazon, Google. All of these companies are hiring, so very important. Second thing is take Prep Insta Prime subscription. If you're part of our WhatsApp group, we are going to be running a sale today. The placement on campus season is starting from 1st of July. So before that, we have the lowest price during this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So after that, we'll increase the prices. So all the very best. If you have any questions, so just Google me, and I am the founder of and CEO of Prep Insta. So you can see me here, and you can DM me on my Instagram. I have like 2.1k followers also, right? 2 lakh or something. So just DM me and I'll help you and answer a lot of your questions. So if I did not answer your question in the live session, you can DM me personally, or if not, you can DM Prep Insta's Instagram. We get like so just like you see Prep Insta 2025. So for example, if you go to Prep Insta, let's say 2023. So there are approximately 1 lakh people who are following us there. We get approximately 2,000, 3,000 messages every day that we reply to. So our team will take care of it and call us on the website. There would be number somewhere, right? Call us here if you have any questions about Prep Insta Prime. Thank you so much. And finally, use the coupon code YouTube for maximum discount. So thank you. I showed my Instagram. My Instagram ID is kaushik.atulya. Okay. So thank you so much, guys. All the best. Close it.